often do you use English in communication in your daily life? When do you use it? And can you give us examples?
I use English daily, especially during work hours. It's the primary language in meetings, discussions, and when communicating with colleagues and partners. I also use it for written communication, such as email or text related to work.
I often use English in my daily life as all my classes are now using English. I use English to ask and communicate with my lecturer doing assignment and coding.
Um, I often use English actually in my routine lah, because I'm a teacher. I'm teaching BM. Sometimes I need to translate certain words in English because mostly my students are from quite an elite family because I'm teaching in city. Okay, so their background sometimes some of them lah from good good background lah. Some engineers from engineers family, doctors. So sometimes I need to translate. And then with my colleague also, I often use English, especially with my English English friend who are teaching English lah. So I often use lah in my daily routine.
Well, right now, currently, I'm living in the UK. So I use English on a daily basis, especially when talking to my international friends, because they wouldn't understand if I were to speak in Malay. However, when I do meet up with my Malay friends here in the UK, I would speak in Malay with them because it's just more comfortable and it's like more of a norm between us. But when it comes to my family members, when I was back at home in Malaysia, it would be a mixture of both actually. So like, it will be more biased towards English because we find it a bit more comfortable in the household to speak more English. But usually English is like we use it to communicate most of the times, especially when talking to those that are close to us. Yeah.
Actually yang guna bahasa Inggeris ni cuma guna bila nak cakap nak ajak cucu cakap bahasa asas je. Tapi kalau kadang-kadang kalau kau cakap dengan kawan-kawan pun kadang-kadang juga guna juga perkataan bahasa Inggeris.
In your opinion, do you think English is important in today's society in both Malaysia and outside Malaysia? Why and in what fields?
English is vital globally, serving as the main medium of communication. It is essential in education and various industries and also enhancing opportunities for collaboration and information exchange.
In my opinion, English is important for today's society to both in and out of Malaysia, as English is widely spoken around the world in fields such as business. Malaysia has a strong presence in global market and English proficiency is crucial for international trade and negotiation.
I think English is very useful in every aspect lah, every semua bidang, dan semua bidang English penting, especially in job lah, working, okay, and professionals area lah, okay, like doctors, engineers, lawyers, they need to use English in their job lah. So it's very important. For me, English is very important, and everybody need to know English, need to talk in English, so that they can communicate with everybody lah, especially in their field.
I think English is important as a communication tool with people that do not understand our mother tongue, because as easy as Malay is to understand compared to most international languages. Some people can't grasp it easily. So English is quite important when it comes to communication. Outside of Malaysia, especially because if it's within Malaysia, um, most people would know Malay and understand Malay to a certain extent, at least to for basic communication between like two parties. And when it comes to like jobs and education in Malaysia, um, English is quite important, but we usually use Malay to like when we're asking questions to teachers, when we're writing formal reports in our jobs, it's usually gonna be Malay, especially if it's like in the government sector. But when it comes to outside of Malay, that's where English really shows its importance because we're trying to communicate with um with the world pretty much, and English is just much more understandable and more universally understood outside of Malaysia, even whether it be jobs or education wise. Yeah.
Dia pastinya penting jugalah dan nak gunakan dalam pendidikan, dalam perniagaan kan. Kalau ada bisnes lain pandang apa.
Which situations or contexts would you rather use local languages instead of English and vice versa?
I use local languages with family and friends, while English is preferred in official functions and meetings.
I use local English for casual communication when interacting with locals, such as auntie and uncle at the market. Might as well use it to get some bargain.
Especially when I'm talking to my family lah. And in my while I'm teaching, because I'm teaching BM, right? So I need to use a fully BM, but sometimes I also have to use English so that my students can understand uh, the terms and the terms lah. Because there are some words that we need to make sure they understand. So I have to translate them. So that my teaching will be better lah. If they don't understand, how are they going to understand, right? So I need to use English, although in my BM subject also.
Well, this is very subjective, but for me, I would use English with those that I'm comfortable with. So like sometimes it will be with my family members, it could be with my close friends, but I do sprinkle a little bit of like Malay in it as well, like speaking both Malay and English. But when it comes to speaking Malay, usually I speak it if it's like something formal, like if I'm talking to my teachers, except for the English teacher, of course. But when I'm talking to my teachers, when I'm at my job, things like that, that's when I use Malay. But here in the UK, most of the times right now, I'm just using English because, yeah, it's just everybody understands English more than Malay.
Maksud besar berkomunikasi dalam bahasa Melayu ni sebab kawan-kawan pun tak banyak yang berpendidikan tinggi kan. Jadi lebih besarlah untuk guna bahasa Melayu.
The Malaysia language policy states that Bahasa Malaysia is used as the official language and English as the second language and is compulsory to be taught in schools. Other than this, schools in Malaysia have also shifted from the usage of Bahasa Malaysia for science subjects to English and then shifted it back to become optional, whereby the school can choose whether to teach in Malay or English for science subjects. Thus, do you support this language policy, the use of English specifically instead of other local languages, and why? Do you think it has a more negative or positive effects in our multiracial society? Explain.
Absolutely. A common local language fosters unity, while a strong English foundation enhances employability and facilitates global communication, benefiting our multiracial society.
I support English as a medium for learning. So I think English as a medium gives more positive impact as English is mostly used as reference in my learning and coding. So I support English as a medium.
I think it's not a problem to use this policy in real life, because if especially in science subject, because if they want to further their study in this science field, there are many things terms they need to know in English because it's international. If they use in BM, sometimes then when they further study, it's hard for them to understand. So for me, it's good to use English in science subject especially, and also in laws, in law subject, because they are using it in their jobs, and then when they need to study, they are studying it in English. So why not let them just use English from school already? Because I know BM is very important, and you know that BM is our national language. So what is important is they know BM, and they also to 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 know English for their study and their jobs field lah after this. More to positive side, but sometimes it also give a negative effect also, because in multiracial, our country from many races, right? So when they speak more English, sometimes they forget to use their own mother tongue language. Uh, it's not I'm talking about the person outside there in my family also. They are my family who are talking using English 100% at home, and they don't know how to use BM. They don't understand also. So this is the negative part lah. The positive side is that they can go anywhere. They can go anywhere in the world, and Malaysian are one of the one of the people that can go around the world. They can communicate with everybody because they know English. So I think it gives a more positive impact lah than the negative side lah.
Hmm. Well, for me, it does have its positive and negative effects, but the fact that they allowed both Malay and English to be used um, is actually quite complementary to each other if you think about it. Because like if we're gonna be talking about like in the education, like in the sciences, for instance, like I was fortunate enough back in when I was learning in high school. I was learning the science subjects in both English and Malay. So like it does cause like complications to a sense, like there are certain words or keywords I could say that we need to know, but in Malay and in English they're just totally different, and then it can cause confusion there. And then like sometimes like those terms itself, when you move on to like college or university, even if it's in Malaysia, sometimes they use the English term rather than the Malay term. So like some people would need to like revise and like re-understand what they've already learned. But just the fact that it's in a different language, it creates like somewhat of a barrier a little bit that they need to like come across and to understand what they're learning again. So does it have like positive? It does have a positive impact to a sense that it does widen someone's like vocabulary, both in Malay and in English. And it doesn't need to be limited to these two languages only, but it does help widen the understanding, but it's not limited to one language. At the same time, if we were to talk about like the negative benefits of this, is that sometimes like I mean even I'm guilty of this every now and then. The but some students can be, or some people can be like more comfortable with English compared to Malay, which is quite a problem. if you ask me, because like if they were to thrive in the English language but they lack in Malay, it's gonna be quite difficult once they grow up and they're going into like the workspace and everything. Because if you're gonna be like working for the government, the language that you would speak in most of the time would be Malay. And yeah, Malay is our mother tongue, it is our first language. It's like part of the Malaysian policy, as you said. So like the negative impact would be like if somebody were to like enjoy if somebody is more comfortable with using English and uses that more than Malay, they might actually just forget their mother tongue altogether. And it's bad and it's quite I wouldn't say it's bad, but it's quite concerning because as Malaysians we identify as Malaysians, and as Malaysians Malay is our first language, and if we forget how to use Malay, then we essentially lose our mother tongue. Yeah.
Lebih sesuai lah kan. Macam lebih banyak ibu bapa pun berpendidikan, jadi lebih banyak speaking lah kat rumah. Macam duduk kampung ni banyak guna bahasa Melayu lah. Jadi budak-budak kampung ni sangat lemah guna bahasa Inggeris tu. Jadi bila ajak subjek sains, matematik dalam bahasa Inggeris, dia pun jadi tak faham kan. Tak faham. Jadi dia pun malas nak belajar sebab tak faham. Kan? Dia rasanya kan negatif lah. Dia lebih sesuai untuk bahasa Melayu. Guna bahasa Melayu.
Has the popularity of English caused any changes in the use or the practice of other languages such as Mandarin, Tamil, and Bahasa? Give examples of its impact.
Yes, the widespread use of English currently has led to the language blending with such as like sentences or phrases that combines both English and Bahasa.
Because of the popularity of English has caused the practice of other language to decrease, I think, because even though I use English even I use English to communicate, even though I learn Mandarin.
Like I said before lah, because my student from different background. Some of them from elite family. So when they are from elite family, they usually use English at home. Some of them don't know their own mother tongue. This is the problem lah. They left their mother tongue at home. It's not at home. They don't know also. Especially in Malacca, we got the Baba and Nyonya Society. They don't know how to speak Mandarin because they used to use English and BM, a bit of BM lah. And some of them also think that like Tamil, bahasa Tamil. So for them, using bahasa Tamil is a low class language. So better for them to use English because it's a type of language which can upgrade yourself in the as a status lah in the satu apa. When you speak English, oh, you are somebody like that. So the people in the school also used to be like that. My students also will be like that. So sometimes I need to use English so that they feel more comfortable to talk with me. Although my English is a broken English lah, I don't care. So that if they understand, so for me it's fine. Because I'm teaching BM, right? So my English maybe not as good lah as the English teachers. So but they still can understand me. That's enough for me already.
I would say that the popularity of English has caused some change, but in a sense of like daily communication, like like languages like Mandarin, Tamil, and Bahasa, they're still used, but not as widely used, especially when we're talking like from a multiracial perspective where we want to communicate with like one another. If like we put in a room, there's one Malaysian, one Chinese, and one Indian, for instance. Like, yeah, they could speak in Bahasa, but most probably they would speak in Bahasa compared to like Tamil and Mandarin. But sometimes it will be English, and they will all speak in English. So like it does reduce the usage of other languages like Mandarin, Tamil, and Bahasa. At the same time, English it's like I wouldn't say it's more thriving, but like it's just being used a lot lately. Like when you use like social media, Google, if you look at like the latest trends and things like that, normally those things are in English. And then like those things, sometimes people do talk about like trends. They do talk about the latest things. And if it's in English, sometimes if it's in English, sometimes they would just speak in English. And then it doesn't necessarily mean that they don't practice these languages at home, but they just use English more. And like I said, it is quite concerning considering like bahasa, yeah, is our mother tongue. Mandarin is gonna be the Chinese mother tongue, and Tamil is the Indians. So like they could forget how to use and how to understand their mother tongue properly, and it does have that negative back impact behind it. Although using English is like it helps in a more universal communication with more people. You can reach out to more people, but it also gives a negative effect when thinking about remembering your mother tongue and propagating in your own language. Yeah.
Itulah dia generasi generasi sekarang ni mereka kurang berkemahiran dalam bahasa bahasa Inggeris kan, mereka banyak menggunakan bahasa Melayu. Sebab mereka kita selesa bahasa Melayu kan, bahasa rasmi kita.
Do you have any suggestions to improve language policy to better accommodate Malaysia's linguistic diversity?
Efforts should focus on accurate translation of literature and scientific papers into Bahasa Malaysia for the education sector. Simultaneously, enhancing the English proficiency will facilitate global communication, fostering societal benefits.
I suggest to encourage multilingualism through education by offering more diverse language courses in school and universities, and promoting the learning of multiple language as a valuable skill.
For me, the policy is okay, but the implementation, how they implement it, the policy, kalau if you follow the policy, actually, everything will be okay. The problem is that they don't want to follow the policy. In school, they need to use BM as a first language, so they need to know BM. They need to pass BM. But then, bahasa English language is a second language. They also need to know English. If they are fluent in English also, it's no problem. But one thing is they need to know that Bahasa Melayu is the first language, it's a national language, and they need to know Bahasa Melayu. No problem for them to be influent in BI. It's good, for me it's good, because English is international language. For me, if the like the MBM, MBI for policy, okay, it's a policy where we need to know Bahasa Melayu, but then you are not you are also encouraged to use English in other field, so that you are tidak ketinggalan, like that. Okay, I think that's it.
This might be a bit controversial, but I would say give someone the freedom to like choose a language they want to speak in. But when it comes to like wait, how do I put this? And there's a lot of languages. So like for me, depending on like who you are talking to, you need to have like sufficient knowledge and sufficient vocab to speak in that language. Like I wouldn't say formally, but wait, how do I put this? Like when you're talking to somebody and you need to speak in Malay, for instance, that you have to speak Malay. And if you're talking to somebody who doesn't understand Malay, you can speak English, something like that. But I don't know how to put it in words. But I would say like speak the language ikut following the context. I would say, like if you're in a formal government job, like you are required to understand Malay. And if you're working and like talking with international people, you are required to like understand English and use English on a daily basis. But for me, when you're learning one language, you shouldn't neglect the other one in a sense. Like, it's simple saying it, but like sometimes people can get comfortable right, with one language compared to the other, and then they'll use that more than the other. But it doesn't mean sometimes that can lead to us somewhat abandoning that other language that we speak in. So I think that having a policy that like makes the languages we learn equal in the sense of the level of education and at the same time the level of usage, we get to like we get to have we get to use multiple languages, and we won't like neglect one for the other, whether it be our mother tongue or like English or second or third language, if we will. But yeah, I think that's it.
Kena menguatkuasakan lah. Kena menguatkuasakan penggunaan bahasa Melayu ni mewajibkan murid-murid mesti lulus untuk suatu peperiksaan lah. Kalau tak lulus macam mana nak sambung belajar kan. Kalau sekolah pun mesti wajibkan guna bahasa Melayu. Sebab lah ni kat mana-mana banyak komunikasi bahasa Inggeris kan. Dan setengah-setengah tak. Waktu tulisan bahasa Melayu tu memang tak mati langsung nak cakap bahasa Melayu. Banyak speaking ya.